Lost in a bottomless void. The path from pain to wholeness according to the wisdom of the Buddha. There are moments in life when you feel like you're standing on a bridge spanning a vast chasm. The path behind you has disappeared into the dense mist, and ahead lies a bottomless void. A feeling of emptiness envelops you, not the peaceful emptiness of meditation, but the hollow, cold emptiness of an abandoned room. All color seems to have faded. Sound is but the echo of loneliness. And even beautiful memories are just faint, blurry photographs. You try to find a reason to keep going, to keep the flame of hope from dying out. But it seems all motivation has abandoned you. If you are experiencing these feelings, I want you to know one thing: you are not alone. And more importantly, this is not a personal failure or a sign that you are a weak person. This feeling of emptiness is a universal part of the human experience. A signal your soul is sending, inviting you to stop and look deeper. For over 2.500 years, Buddhist philosophy has provided a detailed map for navigating these chasms. This is not a religion that demands you believe in a god or a distant doctrine, but a science of the mind, a practical path to understanding why we suffer and how to find peace. This article will not promise to erase all your pain immediately. Instead, it will be a gentle companion, helping you understand the deep-seated origins of emptiness and providing compassionate tools so you can find your way back to wholeness. Not by filling the void, but by realizing that the void itself is the space that holds all potential. Let's explore why life can feel empty and how you can find a reason to continue, even when you think you have nothing left. The first arrow and the second arrow, the root of self-inflicted suffering. At the core of the Buddha's teachings is a concept called dukkha, which is often translated as suffering, but whose meaning is much deeper. Dukkha describes the pervasive dissatisfaction, unease, and impermanence of everything in life. It is not a pessimistic view, but a realistic acknowledgement that being human means facing both physical and mental pain. To clarify this, the Buddha offered a profound metaphor of the first arrow and the second arrow. The first arrow is the unavoidable pain of life. It's the feeling when a relationship ends, when you lose a loved one, when a plan fails, or when your body faces illness. These experiences are an inevitable part of life, and we cannot control whether they happen or not. However, the real problem arises with the second arrow. This is the suffering we inflict upon ourselves, adding it on top of the initial pain. It's the story we tell ourselves about the event, the resistance to what has already happened, the self-blame, and the relentless worry about the future. The second arrow is when you not only feel sad because a relationship ended, but you also suffer from asking, what did I do wrong? Will I ever find happiness again? The first arrow is the physical ache. The second arrow is the anger and resentment that comes with it. The feeling of emptiness and the inability to find a reason to go on often do not come from the first arrow, but from the sheer exhaustion of fighting against thousands of second arrows. It's the mental fatigue from constantly replaying the past, analyzing what was lost, and fearing what might be. Imagine your life as a garden. The first arrow is the inevitable storms, the unexpected frosts. The second arrow is when you spend all your time and energy getting angry at the storm and blaming the weather, instead of repairing the fence and replanting the withered flowers. To find a reason to continue, the first step is not to search for a grand purpose, but to learn how to stop shooting the second arrow at yourself. It is the acknowledgement that pain exists, but suffering is a choice. By observing and letting go of the negative stories we tell ourselves, we can free up energy to face reality in a wiser and more compassionate way. The emptiness of impermanence and craving, the source of our sense of lack. Another core Buddhist truth is impermanence, anicca. It means that everything, without exception, is in a constant state of change. Our bodies, our emotions, our relationships, our possessions, and even the universe are subject to this law. No matter how hard we try, nothing lasts forever. Clinging to something fixed in a world of constant change is one of the root causes of suffering. We cling to happiness, to a relationship, to a job, to our youthful appearance, and when these things change, fade, or disappear, we feel betrayed, hurt, and a great void appears. That feeling of emptiness does not come from the loss itself, but from our resistance to the law of impermanence. This is why a rich person can feel empty, a celebrity can be miserable, and a person with a happy family can still feel lonely. They have sought fulfillment in things that are not permanent. When you build the foundation of your happiness on an external condition, for example, I will be happy when I get a stable job. I will be happy when I find a partner. Or, I will be happy when I am recognized. You are betting on something that is bound to change. And when that condition is gone, you feel like you have nothing left. This emptiness is an alarm bell, a signal that you are looking for happiness in the wrong place. It is a result of craving, tanha, a desire that can never be fully satisfied. Craving is not just a desire for material things, but also a desire for certain experiences, emotions, and identities. We crave praise, we crave love, we crave security, and when these cravings are not met, we feel a profound sense of lack and emptiness. To find a reason to go on, you need to see the truth of impermanence and craving. Accepting that everything changes is not a pessimistic act, but a liberating one. It helps you stop clinging to what is fleeting and start seeking fulfillment in a place where nothing can be taken away, right within you. That is why the Buddha taught that happiness is not a destination, but a path. It is the ability to find peace within the flow of life, not by fighting the waves, but by learning how to surf them gracefully. When you realize that every moment is a unique and never to be repeated gift, emptiness is replaced by a deep sense of appreciation for life, regardless of its current state. The illusion of the self and loneliness in a crowd. Another core Buddhist teaching is non-self, anatta, which means there is no permanent, unchanging self. This can be a difficult concept for many people to accept, as we have been raised with the notion of a solid, stable I. We believe we are our stories, our roles, and our possessions. We think, I am a successful person, I am a good mother, or I am someone who is loved. But according to Buddhism, that self is just an illusion. It is a collection of ever-changing thoughts, emotions, memories, and experiences. When we cling to a specific identity, we set a trap for ourselves. If that identity is shaken, for example, if you lose your job, a relationship ends, or your health declines, your entire sense of self can collapse. The emptiness you feel is not the loss of a role, but the emptiness that comes from realizing the foundation of the self you built on sand is crumbling. Clinging to the self is also the source of comparison and envy, two powerful poisons that cause the feeling of not being enough. When you compare your life to others, their success, their happiness, you are creating a sense of lack for yourself. You believe that if you had what they have, you would feel whole, but even if you achieve that, the feeling of emptiness will return, because it does not come from lacking something external, but from the failure to accept yourself internally. Furthermore, clinging to the self creates a profound sense of isolation. You believe your self is a separate entity, cut off from others and the world. This leads to fear, defensiveness, and a feeling of being alone. Even when you are in a crowd, the emptiness you feel could be the echo of this isolation, a signal that you have lost your connection to everything around you. To find a reason to continue, you need to begin letting go of the illusion of the self. This does not mean you have to erase your self, but that you must realize it is not a fixed entity. By observing your thoughts, emotions, and memories without identifying with them, you can begin to discover a deeper nature, a vast awareness that is not limited by any identity. When you realize that you are not just what you do, what you own, or what others think of you, you will find a freedom and a wholeness that nothing can shake. You will no longer feel lonely, because you will recognize that you are a part of the great flow of life, connected to every living being and everything in the universe. The action of non-doing, wu wei, letting go of effort. When life feels empty, our instinct is often to try to find an immediate solution. We try to work harder, find a new purpose, or pursue dramatic experiences to fill the void. We believe that action will create change. But according to Buddhist and Taoist philosophy, sometimes, the best way to move forward is to learn how to stop trying. This is the concept of wu wei, often translated as effortless action or non-doing. Wu wei does not mean being lazy or passive. On the contrary, it is the most intelligent kind of action, an action that follows the natural flow of life rather than fighting against it. It is like a person rowing a boat on a river. If they try to row upstream, they will become exhausted and get nowhere. But if they put down the oars and let the river carry them, they will reach their destination effortlessly and efficiently. When life feels empty, we often try to find a reason to treat that feeling. We throw ourselves into work, seek love, or force ourselves to be happy. This is a form of resistance, an attempt to force life to provide a meaning we have not yet found. The emptiness does not disappear, it is only covered by busyness and effort. And when that busyness ends, the feeling of emptiness returns stronger than before. Wu Wei invites you to practice something completely different, sitting with the emptiness. This is a courageous and compassionate act. Instead of panicking and trying to fill the void, you accept it. You allow yourself to feel empty, sad, and lost without judgment or trying to change it. Like an empty cup, you allow it to be empty. In this state of stillness, you create space for the unexpected to appear. Your pain is seen truthfully without any additions. The negative thoughts are observed and settle down. You can begin to hear the inner voices that were drowned out by the noise of effort. Emptiness is not an end, but a beginning. It is like an empty plot of land, waiting for new seeds to be sown. If you rush to fill it with things that are not your own, you will never know what could truly grow there. To find a reason to continue, you can start by stopping your search for it. Allow yourself to live in the emptiness with peace. Allow yourself to feel nothing, to rest, and to let go of the need to figure it all out. When you stop fighting the flow of life, a new flow will naturally appear. And perhaps, in that stillness, you will discover a reason to continue, a reason not created by you, but one that life itself naturally offers. From emptiness to wholeness, the middle way in practical practices. When you have understood the root of emptiness and are ready to let go of resistance, the next question is, what do we do? How do we go from emptiness to a life full of meaning and wholeness? Buddhism provides a clear path, known as the middle way. The middle way is not a mediocre compromise between two extremes, but a skillful balance. It avoids two extremes. One is the extreme of unrestrained indulgence, and the other is the extreme of severe asceticism. The middle way is the path of mindfulness, compassion, and wisdom. Here are some specific practices based on the middle way to help you find meaning in life and move from a feeling of emptiness to a sense of wholeness. 1. Mindfulness, sati, the power of the present moment. Mindfulness is the practice of observing the present moment without judgment. When you feel empty, your mind often wanders in a regretful past or a worried future. Mindfulness helps you gently pull your mind back to the now and here. You can start with a simple practice. Sit still. Sit in a comfortable place. Close your eyes. Observe your breath. Focus on your breath. Feel the air entering and leaving your body. When your mind starts to wander, gently bring it back to your breath. Expand your awareness. After a few minutes, expand your awareness to include the sounds around you, the sensations in your body, and the thoughts and emotions that are coming and going. Mindfulness practice helps you see the second arrows you are shooting at yourself. It helps you realize that a thought is just a thought, and an emotion is just an emotion. They are not you, and you don't have to believe them. By practicing mindfulness, you will find a sense of wholeness in the simplest moments of life, the sound of birdsong, a hot cup of tea, or the feeling of sunlight on your skin. 2. Compassion, karuna, and loving kindness, metta, being gentle with yourself. When life feels empty, we often criticize ourselves harshly. We believe we are the only ones going through this and that something is wrong with us. This is a very painful second arrow. To counteract this, you need to practice compassion and loving kindness toward yourself. Treat your feeling of emptiness not as an enemy, but as a child who needs to be comforted. You can practice by placing a hand on your chest. When you feel empty or sad, place a hand on your chest and breathe deeply, repeating gentle phrases to yourself. Gently repeat phrases like, I can accept this feeling. I can be at peace. May I be happy. May I be free from suffering. This simple act helps you shift from self-criticism to self-acceptance. It is an acknowledgement that you are human, and that it is perfectly normal to feel this way. Self-compassion is a crucial step to finding wholeness, because you are no longer seeking acceptance from the outside, but starting to generate it from within. 3. Joyful acceptance, upekkha, discovering the invisible wealth. When we feel empty, we often focus on what we lack. Although this is a challenge, the practice of joyful acceptance can completely change your perspective. Start with a daily practice. Keep a gratitude journal every evening. Take 5 minutes to write down 3 things you are grateful for from that day. No matter how small, It could be a good cup of coffee, a kind word from a stranger, or simply the fact that you have enough food and a place to rest. Gratitude is not about denying your pain. It is a mindfulness practice that helps you realize that even in the most difficult moments, there are still sources of life that exist. It helps you shift from a sense of lack to a sense of wholeness, and from a focus on the self to a connection with the world around you. Conclusion: the void, the connection, and the reason to continue. The feeling of emptiness and the inability to find a reason to go on is a profound invitation from life. It is not a curse, but an opportunity for you to let go of the illusions and attachments that no longer serve you. When you understand that suffering is self-inflicted, you can stop fighting reality. Everything is impermanent. You can stop clinging to what you cannot hold on to. The self is an illusion. You can stop comparing yourself to others. Life has its own flow. You can stop forcing yourself to find a grand reason. The journey from emptiness to wholeness is not about finding a single purpose, but about cultivating a way of being that finds meaning in every moment. It is a path of continuously returning to the present moment, to your breath, and to your connection with everything around you. Perhaps you will not find a grand reason to continue, but you can find a small reason. Right now, it could be the sound of a bird outside your window. It could be the feeling of the wind on your skin. It could be a kind gesture you can make to a stranger. It could be the acknowledgement that you are still breathing. And that, in itself, is a miracle. Emptiness is not the end point. It is the space where peace is found, where compassion is nurtured, and where you can begin to rebuild a life more meaningful than ever before, not with what you can fill, but with what you are willing to let go of. This path is not easy, but it is possible, and it begins right now. Take a deep breath, and let go of just a little bit more. You are right where you need to be.